of Kavod Rabo v'Talmid Chacham, honoring the one's teacher, honoring the Torah scholars. So the sages teach us that what? More Rabbecha ke more Shamayim. The fear of your teacher should be as dear to you as the fear of heaven. You have to realize that the presence of Hashem in this world is made palpable, is made alive by who? By the sages. How you respect the sages is how a person respects Hashem. Rabbi Kiva says, every time you have the word et in the Torah, it's coming to include. When it says when you says Hashem you should fear, how does it mean to include who? Et can include to you should fear somebody like the fear of Hashem. Who can you go and be on the level of fearing someone like Hashem? So the Gemara says ultimately they came and they declared that what? Talmidei Chachamim are the ones who should be feared on the level of how you fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now we know that if you don't respect the rabbis, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be the tradition of the Jewish people is going to go down the drain. Why? Because we, the Jewish people, we work on Mesorah. What is Mesorah? Tradition. So therefore we have Moshe passed down to Yoshua to the Nevi, to the Anshe Knesset Gedolah, to eventually to the times of the Gemara. All oral Torah was tradition, passed down. And therefore, if a person does not connect to his rabbis, connect to the previous generation, what's going to happen? The chain, the Mesorah, is going to be broken, God forbid, and not going to be able to continue. And we say, Morasha, Kilat Yaakov. It is a heritage of the congregation of Yaakov, which means heritage means it has to be passed down from one generation to the next, one from the rabbi to the student. Now, the Gemara says that there was a story with Hillel, where a non-Jew came to convert, and he asked Hillel, convert me to Judaism on condition that I don't accept the oral Torah, only what it says in the Torah. Right? Like a person could say, Rabbi, what does it say in the Torah? You can't drive on Shabbat. Whatever it says in the Torah, that's what I want to keep. I don't want to keep all these Gemara, all these, what these rabbis added. I don't want to follow this. He said, no problem, I'll accept you. He went and he taught him Aleph, Bet, Gimel. And he then, afterwards, the next day he taught him, this is Aleph, this is Bet, this is Gimel. The letters he said yesterday was Gimel, today was Aleph. He flipped everything around. He said, Rabbi, you made a mistake. What you taught me yesterday was not what you taught me today. He says, you see, even to learn Aleph, even to learn what it says in the written Torah, you have to trust the rabbis. You always are going to need the rabbis. You can never come to conclusions on yourself. So therefore, you have to listen to what the oral Torah says. You have to accept everything the rabbis say. The Gemara Masechet Shabbat Kuf Tet Amud Bet says, Kol mevazeh tamid chacham. Anybody who disgraces a rabbi, en lo refuah lemakato. He has no remedy for his wound. The Gemara says, Lo charava Yerushalayim el b'shvil shebizu ba tamidei chachamim. And the Yerushalayim was only destroyed because they spoke bad and they mistreated the rabbis. These people, they say, these rabbis, kulam ganavim, this is a business, all cold, they just want to go and for their honor and to control the masses, and it's all nonsense. A person who speaks like this is dangerous, very dangerous. Yerushalayim was destroyed because they put down the rabbis. So the Gemara says in Masechet Brachot Yutet Amud Aleph 19a, Chad ishtay milta batre de Mar Shmuel. One guy spoke bad about Mar Shmuel. Nafal kanya metalela ubeza'al arnaka de moha. And a piece of a beam fell from the roof. After he said what he said, a piece of a beam fell from the roof and cracked his skull in half. The Gemara says that that's how Hashem and the Shamayim was so makpid. How can you speak about Hashem's prized people and you go and you put them down, you disparage them? The Gemara says Hashem is meticulous and he cracked his head open after he said that. The Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat Chav Gimel Amud Bet, Derachim Rabbanan Havale Benin Rabbanan. Whoever loves their sages will have sons who are Torah sages. The Gemara says Demuki Rabbanan. If he honors the sages, he'll have Hatnavta Rabbanan. He's going to have Domote Arabi rabbis because he honors the rabbis. Dedahil Rabbanan. If he loves the rabbis, right? Sorry, if he fears the rabbis, Hu Gufe Havetzur Rabbanan. He himself will be rabbi. If he fears the rabbis. The sages say in Pirkei Avot, there's 48 qualities to receive the Torah. One of the 48 qualities is Emunat Hachamim, having faith in the sages. The Gemara says a story about Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, right, that you're only allowed to use Maim Shelanu for Masa. You have to have water that slept overnight, room temperature water. So he came to say this in Paponia. Rabbi Matna said this in Paponia, and he said to the shul, everybody has to have Maim Shelanu for Masa. Maim Shelanu means water that slept. Water that was overnight room temperature. But they thought Maim Shelanu means in Hebrew, our water. Shelanu is our water. So everybody came the next day to Matna's house and he said, with buckets. And they said, why are you here? A long line of people with buckets. Because Rabbi, yesterday in the shiur, you said, Ma'im Shalanu, we have to use our water. Our water means your water. So we want to use your water for the matzah. So they were so faithful to the Rabbi. Rabbi said. Why only his water is good and our water is no good? They didn't ask questions. Rabbi said. That's it. The Rabbi knows better than us. Therefore, just because you had a bad experience with some rabbis, doesn't mean all the apples are rotten. The person has to realize that the ones who are the true rabbis, the one who knows what they're talking about, they are the servants of Hashem. We have to give them the respect, the same we do to Kadosh Baruch Hu, if not any less. Baruch Hu.